One Piece is without a doubt my favorite anime and manga of all time. From the characters to the world building to the ultra hype moments, it is the closest a series can get to perfection in my eyes. However, not everyone sees it that way. Actually, within the anime community, it's not an uncommon sentiment to hear that One Piece is mid or too long to be worth watching. Many try watching an episode 2 of the show and just end up not feeling it. The question that people always eventually have to ask is, when does this get good? Now, I hate this question just because it's so vague and there's no way to truly answer it. It's pretty much completely subjective and there's no way for any one person to define what good means. Is it when the series first starts piquing your interest, or when it cements itself as people's favorite? Also, the question assumes that you have to wait for One Piece to become entertaining, and that when it starts out it's just an uninteresting 90s cartoon. You just have to wait till later for it to be good, which is far from the truth. But hey, I get it. Nobody wants to watch 500 episodes of a show they don't like, no matter how entertaining it might be after that. But due to the vague nature of the question, the answers people will give are split, to say the least. Some say that the Water 7 saga of One Piece is when it gets good, which starts at chapter 322 or episode 229 of the anime. Even if you've never seen the series before, you can probably already tell how obviously wrong that is. Nobody in their right mind would sit through over 200 episodes or 300 chapters just to wait for a story to become interesting. And keep in mind, One Piece is a week-to-week manga, so there is no voice whispering in your ear telling you, it'll get good after 100 chapters, it'll get good after 100 chapters. The One Piece manga first started publishing in late 1997. The following year, in 1998, it became the 9th highest selling manga of that year in Japan. A year after that, in 1999, it was the 3rd highest selling series. In 2000, it cemented its place as first, and the rest is history. Now, the series didn't officially become the best selling manga series of all time until 2008, but that shows how quickly it rose in popularity in Japan. The Water 7 saga began serializing in 2004. 4 years after One Piece took its crown for most yearly Japanese manga sales. So it's safe to say that despite how good of a saga Water 7 was, and it truly was, it's not where One Piece gets good. It's easy now when the series has over 1,000 chapters that an arc that took place over 700 chapters ago was when the series first started to get good, because at this point in the story that feels early, but 300 chapters is still 300 chapters. Another earlier arc that many claim is when One Piece first starts to get good is the Alabasta arc, which spanned from chapters 153 to 217. And episodes 92 to 130 of the anime. Now for me, Alabasta definitely improved my opinion of the series and was the first arc to make me truly consider One Piece among my favorites. One aspect of the Alabasta arc that makes it so good to me is how every previous arc within the Baroque Works saga or Alabasta saga worked to build up and develop plotlines that would ultimately pay off in the Alabasta arc. If we go based off the Alabasta saga, that would start at chapter 101 or episode 62. But hey, I know what you're thinking. That's still a pretty big time sink to wait for a story to get good. And I agree. I wouldn't say that Alabasta is when One Piece gets good. For me, that was only when it was taken to the next level. We've already established that as soon as One Piece started, it pretty much immediately gained a massive following. So if only there was a way that we can go back in time and ask the people from the early years of One Piece what made One Piece so good to them, we might have a concrete answer. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. Sorta. Since One Piece has had a massive fan base for so long and, the internet exists, we can actually go back to some really old anime forums and see what people had to say about the series. Looking back at people's reactions and thoughts to chapters that came out almost 20 years ago is really interesting. And the cool thing is that a lot of these forums are still active today, such as the Arlong Park forums and the Anime Suki forums. On Anime Suki in the One Piece forum, we can actually find a thread from all the way back to December 11th, 2003, from one Mr. Squall asking, One Piece, is it good? I remember hearing something about this series and how it was the most popular manga in Japan, so seeing it listed on Anime Suki, I downloaded the first 40 episodes. I watched the first episode and I'm being very honest, it looks really goofy and American animated. That's not to say I'm not gonna watch the show, it's just that at first I was kind of turned off by how odd the animation was. So yeah, I was just wondering if the anime is really all that good as people make it out to be. So far, my absolute favorite anime so far is Naruto, so how does it compare to that? I really want to hear your opinions. For perspective, when this was made, the latest chapter of the manga was chapter 302, which was actually the last chapter of the Skypiea saga. There aren't too many responses to this question, we can actually find a couple different answers and they're quite interesting. The first, from user Steven, states, I've been reading the manga since it started and I don't think it really starts to show its potential until the Arlong saga, volumes 8 to 11 or so. I'm not sure of the corresponding episodes in the anime. What the user is referring to is the Arlong Park arc of One Piece, which spans from chapters 69 to 95 of the manga and 31 to 44 of the anime. And honestly, that's a really solid answer. The Arlong Park for me is where One Piece really began to prove to its audience how well it could hit on both its emotional and hype moments. Even looking at other threads from this time, we can find big vouches for Arlong Park. I was gonna get this, but it looked too kiddie for my liking. Disagree? Disagree. It's not kiddie at all. If age goes, this would be on the same age level as Naruto. There's more blood, I think, and more cussing. The art style is just a bit different. You should watch it. If you don't like it, try watching 34 to 44. But we can also find answers earlier than episode 30. User JN183 states, I personally like One Piece more than I like Naruto. The animation really draws most people away from it. However, people that give it a chance realize that it's quite good. Besides, I actually like the drawing. Somehow it added in more humor. The characters are well developed and the fight are great. Watch more episodes. Maybe when you saw Zoro, which should be in episode 2, you would like it a little more than later on comes Mihawk. This comment refers to 2 points in the show. The first being Zoro's introduction in episode 2, and the second being Mihawk's introduction in episode 23. If we're talking about the former, I can't really agree or disagree with that sentiment, as there's only one episode before Zoro shows up, which on its own is still pretty good in my opinion. But hey, Zoro rocks, so I'm all for saying that his mere presence makes the show better. The latter though, being Mihawk's introduction, is one I can get behind for sure. Without spoiling anything, Mihawk's first appearance in the show is incredible. It's incredibly hype and sets the tone of what the main characters are going to have to face later on in the show. It also opens up a plot thread that remains just as relevant now 1,000 chapters later. Mihawk did a great deal in shaping the audience's minds into what to look forward to in One Piece, so it's a pretty good answer to the question. There is one last answer though that we can find from before episode 23, and that's from user Sylvantheus, who states, One Piece is just as good, if not better than Naruto. Although it took me up until episode 17 to decide that. This is probably the most interesting answer to me because episode 17 was the episode to adapt chapter 41, the last chapter of the Seer Village arc, which today pretty much unanimously ranks among the worst arcs in the series. Now I'm not calling the arc bad, but I'm just saying that pretty much every arc after it is better, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. However, I can still understand where this is coming from. Episode 17 showed the climax of the major fight of the arc, and at this point at 10 episodes, Seer Village was the longest of the arcs thus far. Ah, the simple old days. But it makes sense to get hyped to see the result of a battle between our protagonist and an actually very compelling villain. Probably the best one at that point in the series. Sorry, Buggy. A lot of the problems people have with Seer Village lie in its pacing or plots near the middle, but thinking back on it now, they actually ended it off pretty well. So while I wouldn't personally use episode 17 as my answer to the question, I can definitely understand how it might work for others. So there you have it. Here we have a variety of answers to the question, when does One Piece get good? You can take it all the way to episode 229 or as early as episode 2. Really, the way a story becomes compelling is different from person to person. All the people who decide to pick up One Piece are all looking for different things, so it's natural that while some people enjoy it from the jump, it may take others a little bit of time. But hopefully this video has given you some sort of insight on what defining moments or arcs make One Piece the massive series it is today. Maybe this will give you the motivation to push through to episode 17 or 23 or 31 or who knows, all the way to Water 7. But hey, maybe you've watched an episode of the anime, given it what you think is a fair shot, and you just don't get the hype. It's just not for you, and that's okay. I love One Piece, but I would never tell someone else to force themselves to watch hundreds of episodes if it's not entertaining to them. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're someone who decided to pick up One Piece and watch this video for some guidance, let me know how you're enjoying it so far and what episode you're on. And if you're already a fan of One Piece like me, then let me know what moment it was in the story that made you fall in love with One Piece. For me, I had always enjoyed the show, but I think I started truly loving it in Alabasta. But let me know what you think. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.